as you can see, I've labeled this Way of Life, Session 1, Understanding Metaphysics versus Becoming Metaphysical. And we want to complete that journey on this course where we break down the understanding of what metaphysics is and learn how to apply it individually and become metaphysical in our traits, become metaphysical in our being, and what does it actually mean at the core. So you've heard from all the great gurus, from all the great people, mind where you think, mind what goes through your mind. There's a saying, what you are, what you eat is what you are. There's a deeper one, what you think is what you become. And it's not just about what you think about yourself, it's what you think about others. It's what you think about scenarios around you. Now, if you're not right up here, everything else is going to go amiss. So the first thing that I want to show is a very, very powerful video. And I want you to pay attention carefully. It's going to be very interesting to watch how this whole story unfolds. And it's kind of a reflection of what you're all going to be going through individually. Okay, so this is the path that you signed up for. This is the path that you're going to take. So I want you to take this video in, take it in, not necessarily the pinch of salt, but read yourself into it and see how this is going to apply to you. And remember, you have to stay strong for your whole journey.
The analogy of the cave. We will consider the details of the analogy and then look at the meaning and purpose in relation to Plato's theory of forms. Plato told an analogous story to illustrate his theory of forms. Imagine a group of prisoners chained since childhood in an underground cave. They are unable to move their heads, able to look forward only. Imagine that behind them is a fire burning up higher and at a distance, and between the fire and the prisoners, a low wall has been built. There is a walkway where people are carrying various objects that rise above the wall, including human images and shapes of animals. The fire casts shadows of the figures and objects onto the wall in front of the prisoners. Plato argued that such prisoners would deem reality to be nothing else than the shadows of the artificial objects. One of the prisoners is freed from his shackles and compelled to stand up suddenly, to lift his eyes to the light, and in doing all this felt pain as the brightness of the fire hurts his eyes, so that it is difficult to see the objects casting the shadows. He is told that what he had seen before was all a cheat and an illusion, but that now he saw more truly. He is then dragged by force up the ascent, which is rough and steep, out into the light of the sun in the outside world. It is difficult for his eyes to adjust to the brightness, so that he struggles to see. At first, he can only bear to look down at the shadows and reflections in the water, and later the things themselves. And from these he would go on to contemplate the light of the stars and of the moon. Finally, he would be able to look upon the sun itself. By now, he has learned that it is because of the sun that he can see anything at all, that the sun is in some sort the cause of all these things that they had seen. Then, if he recalled to his mind his first habitation, still chained and deceived in the cave, he would pity the prisoners there. If there had been honours and commendations among them which they bestowed to one another, and prizes for the man who was quickest to make out the shadows as they pass, he would not envy and emulate those who were honoured, but endure anything rather than opine with them and live that life. If he were to go down again and take his old place in the cave, he would find it hard to see in the darkness, having come from the bright light. And if he tried to join in evaluating these shadows while his vision was still dim and before his eyes were accustomed to the dark, the shackled prisoners would laugh at him for his inability to see the shadows well, whilst they congratulate each other on their own proficiency. They would say that he had returned from his journey aloft with his eyes ruined, and if he tried to release them and lead them up to the light, they would kill him if it were possible. Plato explained the meaning of this analogy. He explained that the prisoners are very much like us humans, who are chained or restricted from knowing the truth. The cave represents the empirical world of sense experience, the region revealed through sight. Plato likened the light of the fire in it to the power of the sun, and the shadows symbolize the imperfect particulars we observe. Like shadows, these only resemble reality and lead to opinion rather than to knowledge. The ascent to light and the contemplation of the things above represent the soul's ascent to knowledge via reason, as the outside world represents the realm of the forms, the realm of truth. Plato described it as the conversion of the mind from the twilight of error to the truth, that climb up into the real world, which we shall call true philosophy. The shadows and reflections viewed in the outside world represent the lower forms and objects, and the objects and the heavenly bodies represent the higher forms. The sun represents the form of the good upon which all else is contingent, dependent. Plato expanded on that symbol. Good is to the intellectual faculty what the sun is to that of vision. And if you want to know more about that particular comparison, look back again at the video all about the form of the good and the symbol of the sun. Epistemically, Plato's using the analogy to try and convince us, or to try and help us understand and consider our world as one of illusion and the realm of forms as the realm of truth. It helps us to understand the reaction of the philosopher as he comes closer to truth, and the reaction of those around him who ridicule him and who are unable to accept and value and understand his journey. Through the analogy, we are able to recognize the folly of the opinions that people have about this world being the source of truth, when actually all around us is just illusion. It is also a reminder of the difficulty of journeying and the pain of journeying, of letting go of those opinions and of seeking and grasping the truth about life. Ontologically, the analogy helps us to understand the way in which the forms are more real, as Plato describes it, than the particulars that we see around us in this world. And the idea of the shadows and the objects casting the shadows, which are not the real objects themselves, remember, they're simply puppets or carvings carried by these people. It helps us to understand how these are in some way like the real objects themselves, but not the real objects themselves, just as the particulars are like the forms in that they instantiate the forms, but they are not the forms themselves. And that's the metaphysics that's shown in the analogy.
Do you see that, people? Can you see the relevance and the importance of just this little bit of information? Plato's analogy of the cave, showing you that path of what it takes to take on knowledge for yourself, self-knowledge, because it's not going to be that it's suitable for everybody else in your surrounding. You're not doing this to please other people. You're doing this to rise your vibration for yourself. And regardless of what's happening around you, regardless of what others think, you have to stay steadfast. You have to stay fixated. You have to stay exhilarated. You need that gusto. You need that excitement. You need to plant little things that reward you on your journey. And these things of reward are not of the world. If you're trying to do this to please the world, trust me, you're going to fall flat on your face every time, because this is what separates the weak from the strong, from the, and the rest of it, from the eagles from the sparrows. So we're turning our minds, our intellectual capacities, our spiritual focus into the highest quality of state. Okay, so when you compare it against the noise pollution of what it is that's happening today in today's society, there's fear mongering, there's anxiety, there's peer pressure, there's all kinds of mental bullying, all of that. We don't want to join that game. We want to keep ourselves free from all of that, and free from anxiety, free from fear. And what does it actually take as a sort of mental construct to do this constructively, rather than doing it negatively, rather than doing it bitterly? Because you do it with these traits, again, you're just as bad as being as one of them. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the full journey of what that actually entails, so you can see the hero's inner journey. Yeah, it starts with a limited awareness of the problem. And today we're going to highlight what that problem is, because it always boils down to what's going on up here. Okay, then we're going to increase awareness of need for change. Then we're going to address the fear, that resistance to change, because that's what it is. We're so happy in being our old selves. When we come across knowledge that empowers us to be, we dilly-dally on the fence. Oh, should I, shouldn't I, should I? But boy, I don't really know about this thing. We never hear about this thing yet. We don't know if you don't if you don't grasp new knowledge, if you don't grasp new concepts, if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep ending up with the same result. And you need to be able to come out of that space. Okay, we're gonna find our place in a place where we can overcome fear and commit to change. Okay, experimenting with new conditions. Okay, preparing for major change. These are the things that normally happens within that journey, because a lot of time, you might just come across some information and then you still end up with the same problem that you had from before. You still haven't changed, even though you've been given all of these tools. But what we want to do in these 3 months is empower you in a way that these tools become proficient and you become proficient in using the tools to bring yourself to a higher vibration. Yeah, we're going to cross that place where it's big change with feeling of life and death. Because anytime you're taking on a big, massive change, you feel like, boy, things are going to, boy, I don't know if me even know myself again. And this when you're there, because there's four stages to be aware of on this journey. And right now, what we're doing is pulling up the, okay, let's get this right. There's the unconscious ignorance. You don't know that you don't know, okay? And then you're going to be conscious of your ignorance, okay? This is unconscious incompetence. Let's put it that way. Unconscious incompetence. Then we get to the stage of conscious incompetence, yeah? And this is where we reach the 6 o'clock mark, where we jump over to conscious competence. And then we raise that up until we're now unconsciously competent. So just like when you first had driving lessons, when you got into the car, you didn't know the gas pedal from the brake and the clutch, and it's a good thing that the instructor had a spare set of pedals. Otherwise, it could have been disaster from the word go. And what he's done is allowed you to bring you out of a space of unconscious incompetence to get boy, I don't know if I'm supposed to look on my foot, or the gear sticker, this or that. And when you pass your test, you don't have to look at the instruments around you. You're just flowing. Now you've been driving for years. You don't even remember when you put the key in. You don't even remember. You're driving. You don't even remember the journey from how you got from A to B, but you got there. And this is where you get to a place of unconscious competence. And this is what the journey is going to do. So once we pass that big change with feeling of life and death, we're going to reach the accepting consequences of a new life. Okay? Because it's so funny how habits form. Our habits are so hard to get rid of. It's, we'll be so surprised of how many mental attributes that we have that are actually holding us down from taking on this spiritual journey. And we have to face them. We have to start dealing with them. We are the ones that are responsible for who we are. Okay. So once we hit that space of new challenge and rededication, we can reach that final attempt of last minute dangers, and we can now cross that bridge of mastery. Now we're in that place of just smooth transitions of again, like I said, unconscious competence. You've worked out what the gas pedal is, you've worked out what the brakes are, and you've worked out what the clutch is. So you know how to change gear, you know how to come out of the low gear and go into the high gear. So what are these things that we are encountering? So how I've done this, we are going from, like it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. We're going to go from A to Z. Okay, we're going to start with it from a mental aspect, and then we're going to go in deeper, start peeling off the levels. So every week I'm going to be giving you, right, we're going through A to Z, like I said, and this week is the letter A. So it's 7 up, 7 down. I'm going to give you the 7 A's to cultivate the aspect of the inner being. And this is down to your responsibility. A lot of times when you go to sign up to an organization or initiate with a spiritual master, you might get some fluff, you might get some talk, and yes, go and do these prayers and go and do this and that and the other. But in truth, if you're not attentive from a mental point of view, how to challenge certain things that are going to stop you from doing abominable acts unto yourself or to embrace the knowledge that you've been given, then it was a waste of time initiating. Okay, so we're going to really spell it out A to Z. So the 7 A's: aptitude. Aptitude. A lot of people say, boy, me hear that word there, you know, but I don't even know what it mean, what the word mean. Attitude. Yeah, man, I know said attitude. Yeah, man, I know so me have to have a positive attitude and really. Assertiveness. Active, accountable, attraction. A lot of people will be saying, what do you mean by me have to start put on makeup or this or that or whether I put on good? No, we're going to look at this. Adaptability. So let's look at the first word, aptitude. Put on my glasses so I can read this thing. An aptitude is a unique combination of abilities and personality characteristics which predisposes a person to do one kind of work better than another and increase his chances of success. Now, most of the time, especially when it comes into spirituality, the aptitude is low. You know, even though we say, yeah, man, I love God, I'm a pray every morning, you would be surprised how low your aptitude is. Let's look at the opposite of aptitude. Antipathy, which is a state of apathy. That means when you know you're supposed to do something, you don't do it. Yeah, man, I know I'm supposed to meditate this, I know I'm supposed to pray this, man, but I know I'm supposed to do my breathing, but disinclination, dislike, hate, inaptitude, incapacity, stupidity, hatred, aversion, impartiality, revulsion, disinterest, disgust, distaste, loathing, indifference, justice, inability, repulsion, insensitivity, unwillingness, discouragement. These words describe the opposite of what aptitude. Now, if you can feel any of these words to any of the ideas of your approach to spiritual life, then you know this is something that you've got to clean up straight away. You've got to clean up the aptitude. And what supports the aptitude? Because if you're not shooting high, you're shooting low. And if you're shooting low, you're not shooting at all. You have to shoot high. Just like how it says in the allegory of the cave, you're talking about being in a position where you can look directly at the sun. You're talking about a position where you can understand yourself as a spirit more than flesh. Okay? You're in a position where you're talking soul language rather than materialistic language. It doesn't make sense trying to walk on the two sides of the fence. Yeah, because that fence is actually barbed wire. And you don't want that. Okay? All right. So, aptitude. These are the things that increase your aptitude, your learning, your anticipation, the challenges you're taking in, how you interpret it to yourself, the decisions, and your ability to align with new knowledge. Okay, so it doesn't make sense that you're going to try and be aptitudinal about what you know. Aptitude is about growth. It's about expansion. If you're not willing to align with new knowledge, align with the learning process, if you don't have anticipation, that natural anticipation is a natural endorphin. It's a dopamine that releases from the brain that you're excited about something. Now, there's a study that was done about people who are self-motivated versus people who just sit on the couch and just live life from the couch and don't want to do anything and don't want to get willing to actually engage in growth. Now, the surprising thing is that both of them can please the senses, but there's a part of them, the one that's missing aptitude. It's almost like the process of increasing the pleasure from the couch this is how you bring on obesity. It's almost like your senses are now screaming for the pleasure rather than the self gaining the pleasure. So you're only pleasing the senses and you're not pleasing yourself. So you have to raise your aptitude so you can get some soul pleasure out of what you're doing. Without the aptitude, your soul is not going to engage in the path that your soul sits quietly in the background as the witness. And just being the witness of things, it's fine, it's cool. It can do that for eons. It can do that for lifetime upon lifetime upon lifetime. If you want to grow out of that state and align with soul, you have to raise your aptitude. You have to raise your willingness to participate in things that are going to make you grow. Okay, let's go to the next one. Your attitude. Your attitude determines your aptitude. And this is ever so serious. If your attitude is wrong, because there's only one aptitude to have in the whole of this, and this is a positive mental attitude. This is a positive attitude. Without a positive attitude, you are literally stabbing yourself. You're literally destroying yourself. You're actually, you're calling on the amount of disarray of bad negative energy upon yourself. So what I want to do right now is have a look finitely on all the aspects of attitude. Okay, let's dig in. Attitude is said to define the personality of a human. Naturally, this falls under two categories, the good and the bad. Attitude is a small thing that makes a big difference. If you are willing to perfect yourself, then you should watch your attitude. One of the best things that bring a big change in a man or a woman, attitude is, a woman's attitude is positive thinking. The best thing about this simple attitude thing is that it can make you look like a winner or a runner at the same time. So you're easily read. You understand? If you've got a positive attitude, people, it's almost like you turn up that influential magnet about you. Okay? You have a negative attitude, you're letting off this mental BO. Yeah? Where people can, you don't have to say a word. You don't even have to, from your fears, fix up. People can work it out. You understand? Why that one there? Well, I don't know if I don't want to hang around with that one there because the bad attitude. Bad attitude don't get you nowhere. Bad attitude kills all your chances in life. Bad attitude makes such a bad example. You're not representing your true soul nature with a bad attitude. Okay? You're not representing no form of godliness with a bad attitude. Okay? Attitude comprises basically of mindset, viewpoint, and beliefs. And sometimes we need to change the whole lot of them to put ourselves in the right place. These basic elements add to the makeup of the person you are. Your skill in facing the challenges of life is often shaped by the attitude you hold. The types of attitude in psychology is, as often stated, as cognitive, emotional, and behavioral. The first component is based on the knowledge we acquire and feel confident about the fact that we are educated on that subject and can present someone with the relevant information. Basically, what that means is, from that point of view, knowledge in itself is very attractive, and nobody don't like to look like the fool. So most of the time when people talk, they like to talk from a position like they know something. Okay? The emotional component deals with the giving out of emotional stimuli, which as overreacting at simple things, as an example. So you got such an emotional array from happiness to anger. And sometimes when these are overstimulated, you can give off the wrong impression of where it is you're actually coming from. So there's a balance in everything, even from an emotional point of expressing where you're coming from. The behavioral component takes care of the way we react to certain things, as is one of the primary things that we should take care of. And again, when you see a combination of all these three aspects of attitude mixed up, you know, your behavioral component against your emotional versus your cognitive, you know, there's a process where you have to balance, you have to bring about a balance of how you attitudinally approach life. Okay, so if you're always bitter about things, if you're always down about this, what you're doing is you're changing your baseline state, and you're changing it into a very ugly one. And you really don't want to do this. Your baseline state should be one of joy, should be one of bliss, should be one where every step is a dance and every word is a song. Okay, there's got to be this magnetic thing about you that it's so profound in your attitude that it's influentially magnetic. It's influentially putting you on that path of least resistance. The more you play with those attributes of attitude and you're bringing them into the negative connotation, you're actually putting on the brakes. You're slowing your life down. You're slowing you're inviting the whole heap of drama and trauma into your life. So attitude, let's go a little bit deeper. List of attitudes and behavior. First one, positive attitude. This is one type of attitude in organizational behavior. One needs to understand how much of a positive attitude it takes to keep the work moving and progressing. It means that keeping a positive mindset and thinking about the greater good, no matter whatever the circumstances are. A positive attitude has many benefits which affect out other kinds of behavior in a good way. For example, a person who has a positive attitude and mindset will look for the good in other persons, no matter how bad they behave or how bad is their attitude. The former person thinks about the greater good, and that is why he is called a person with a positive attitude. Now, there's a thing at the top end of the tree in the Vedic aspect where it is said that the attitude that you are cultivating is to be the well-wisher of all. Now, right now, I can bet you that that is not the case. I can bet you that, you know, we've got thoughts about the one there and that one there and the one Bill Gates and the one this and the one that. We've got our minds charged with so much negativity. How you do anything is how you do everything. You start to bring this energy of ill feeling into everything that you're doing, and you start to perceive the whole world through the same lenses, and you start to slowly bring about judgment into this. You know, these things are things that are robbing your ability to have a positive attitude. You need to be able to, and it's not to say, again, there's a process of discernment that gets involved, especially when you look at the scenario of, you know, a person who's been able to look at someone who's behaving badly, characterize it and put it in a way where it's not actually judging the person, because you are not your behavior. Your behavior is an expression of an experience that you're having. And once you can separate the two and be discerning about that, because again, everyone can change. And if you are the light that helps people change because of your positive attitude, then this is more in alignment of the truth that who you are and the God within you playing the role. Yeah, if you're just there chastising everybody and cussing everybody and putting everybody down, then that same energy is going to come back to you. It's that saying, when you point the finger, there's three other fingers pointing at you. And on an esoteric, metaphysical level, it doesn't get no more realer than that. The attitude is where it all starts. So, negative attitude. A negative attitude is something that every person should avoid. Generally speaking, people with negative attitudes often ignore the good in life and only think about whether they will fail. They often find a way out of tough situations by running away from them. So a negative attitude, a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You'll never go anywhere until you change it. So it's self-explanatory right there to avoid, outside of now people normally think there's only two polarities, positive and negative. There's actually more. So there's a thing where they then talk about neutral attitude. Neutral attitude is just as bad as a negative one. The refusal to be committed and the attitude of indifference can in fact never be neutral. Okay, you've actually got two opinions fighting there, and it's only you're only calling it neutral because you don't want to voice your opinion. You'd rather just stay in the background. You're not growing there. Okay, This is another type of attitude that is common. The mindset is a neutral one. There is no doubt that this is there is no doubt that this doesn't actually work for you. People who generally tend to ignore problems in life, they normally just run under the carpet, tuck things under the carpet, hide. They don't, you know, they'll find themselves in a lazy space. People with neutral attitude, those are the ones that actually move slower than the ones that with a negative attitude. Negative attitude, you can have some activity about you, but the ones with the neutral attitude, they tend to even dress back even a little bit more. And boy, I don't want to get involved. No, I'm just staying neutral to this. Okay, it's a space of being disconnected. And when you're disconnected with life, you're promoting apathy. You're promoting illness of the mind. Okay, so you've got to be active in your process of in everything that you do. Neutrality is not the way forward. Okay, and there's even another one which even goes in deeper: the seeking attitude. Okay, seeking attitude is the most dangerous type of all attitudes, because seeking attitudes destroy our positive thinking and positive vibes. Seeking attitudes develop so many negative states of our lives and behaviors. This attitude also destroys the personality of any person in our society and family. So in the seeking state, regardless of, you know, like when you find them people just jealous whether you're good or you're this, you know, like them people that just want to find something bad about you. They just want to, that's a seeking attitude type person who just wants to tear down everything. Tear down the good, tear down the ones that are exemplary. You understand? Have not, boy, you know, the one they have too much of this, or this one they have too much of that. And the thing is, in karmically, in the law of how the universe works, you get what you deserve. You get what you are owed. So you're not in a position to judge what a next man has and judge him on those circumstances and say, really, this, that, and the other. So in that ideology, the seeking attitude is deeper and more destructive than the negative attitude, because the negative attitude is when you're attracted to negativity. The seeking attitude is when you're turning everything negative. And this is one of the most corrupt ones that are at play nowadays. And with this attitude, you cannot do anything spiritually. Your prayers, everything is just going to fall flat on its face, because it's almost like you can't wait to jump out of the prayer and back into the bad attitude. You need to let go of it, shed it all. These aptitudes and attitudes of the sickened state will destroy you. It will destroy your spiritual life. It will destroy your spiritual state. Okay? Seeking attitude is so dangerous for us. Here we are discussing some of the fearful disadvantages of seeking attitude. Bitterness is created. Life becomes purposeless. Repels help, good advice, people, etc. Prolonged painful situation. Inconsistent with all relations, no conscience. Okay, these are some of the descriptions that you would find that highlights the sickened attitude. Okay, now if you're in that place where you feel that you're surrounded by bitterness and you're confronted by bitterness, if you feel that life has no purpose, if you feel that you want to repel against help, you want to repel against good advice, you want to repel against people that are there for you, then I'm only highlighting so we can say, right, these things we have to clean up, we have to break away from, we have to change. We have to find a new space what is going to actually sustain our growth and sustain our rising of our vibration towards being a more fulfilled, holistic, spiritual, thoughtful, compassionate, empathetic being the well-wisher of all. A bad attitude can literally block love, blessings, and destiny from finding you. Don't be the reason you don't succeed. Okay, the next word in the list was assertiveness. Now, assertiveness, a lot of people think assertiveness just means aware. But again, assertiveness is your ability to act in harmony with your self-esteem without hurting others. Okay, very important to understand this, these characteristics. Assertiveness, it's not about trampling on people. It's about, again, acting in harmony with your self-esteem. How do you make sure that your self-esteem is vibrating on a high level? And how do you act in harmony with that without hurting others? Assertiveness means balance. It requires you to be direct about your wants and needs while still considering the rights, needs, and wants of others. When being assertive, you are confident and powerful in getting your point across without acting like a bully or seeming pushy. Okay, so there's again a balance. It's linguistics, it's wordplay, it's finding that sweet spot of being where you can now be in your prowess without harming anybody and others around you. Okay, you are allowed to be you at your fullest, and being you at your fullest doesn't mean that you trample on others. This is the assertiveness triangle, as you can see. Passive, aggressive, assertive at the top. And in the area between passive, like a neutral attitude, aggressive, being more like a negative or a second attitude, in that area, you actually don't have no choice. You're actually stuck with what you got. And you're feeding yourself what you got. You're not actually, you're not vibrating in a place where choices or opportunities come to you. You're just stuck right there. When you raise to that position of assertiveness, now you understand and comprehend what choice is. Now you can tap into opportunities. Now you can create opportunities. Now you can be an opportunity unto yourself. Now the next word, active. Active is a big one because, again, if you're not active, there's two polarities. There's when you're born, when you come into this world, and when you die, when you leave, when you transform. And there's a line that is happening in between the two. Now that line, there's something happening between that line. And that line says, are you living or are you dying? Activity means you're living. Inactivity means you're reaching to that place of atrophy, apathy. You're slowing down everything. You're not exercising, you're not eating properly, you're not thinking, you're just not engaging with life at the pace where you should be. Yeah, and it's a thing where you're teaching yourself to be more and more disabled mentally, physically, and you're literally just destroying yourself. The more active that you are, you're flexing mental muscle, you're flexing physical muscle, you're flexing, you're growing, when I say we're not kill you, make you stronger. So you've got to be able to get with the grit and be able to fight through. And this is just through activity, and through activity, you build up a thing called momentum. It's like the snowball effect. When the snowball starts at the top of the hill, it's a very small thing. And the more it rolls down the hill and it starts picking up momentum, it gets bigger, it gets bigger. Now it's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. You cannot stop that momentum. And this is what is meant by staying active. The more active you stay, the more momentum you bring into your physical, astral, physiological, metaphysical, mental, emotional being. All of your 7 states feed from activity. No activity, no growth. Benefits of a regular physical regular physical activity: reduce your risk of a heart attack, manage your weight better, lower blood cholesterol level, lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes and some cancers, lower blood pressure, have stronger bones, muscles and joints, and lower risk of developing osteoporosis. Lower your risk of falls. Physical activity helps you live longer and prevent many chronic diseases such as heart disease, high blood pressure, abnormal blood lipid, cholesterol, and we can't even pronounce that word there, triglyceride profile, stroke, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and colon and breast cancer. So it's very important, like it's seen here, like, you know, get active constructively. Find a little exercise routine. I mean, we're going to be going through this. You know, if you're going to join, I do hope that you will join the daily meditation practice. The first week is going to be light, and every week we're going to increase. We're going to increase. We're going to add a little extension onto it, brain extension exercises, some seated exercises, and then by week 4 or 5, once we start, we're going to be starting with a couple of squats to get the body into a pumping, get the blood going round the body. So every morning we're going to commit to a series of sets of meditation and exercises that brings about a healthy, vibrant state of being. So we're going to pull ourselves out of this stale way of being. Regular exercise can have a profoundly positive impact on depression, anxiety, and ADHD. It also relieves stress, improves memory, helps you sleep better, and boosts your overall mood. And you don't have to be a fitness fanatic to reap the benefits. All you need to do is be on it. Be purposeful, be patient, and be active. Be about growth. Be about expansion. Be about becoming your maximum potential. And this is what this exact course is going to be about. Once we take in these little ideologies of how do we master that inner chat, the monkey mind going left and right. Because the monkey mind really bad, you know. You know, if you don't watch it, if you leave it to itself, weeds will grow. Weeds in the mind will grow. And when the weeds grow, you won't have to go through them, you know, as the observer of thoughts. What's this bad thought coming? Now you have to now bring this bad thought up to the intelligence. And now you're chewing and pondering on this bad thought for half an hour, you know, chew in your mind, creating up scenarios, blah, 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 blah. Whereas if you be purposeful and be active on something positive, that chitter chatter will go away. It will drop. It'll destroy itself. You understand? Soon you've got, boy, I'm not on time to that. I'm on a positive right now. You understand? So in that sense, be active. Mental activity and mental health. Less tension, stress, and mental fatigue. A natural energy boost, a sense of achievement, more focus and motivation, feeling less angry or frustrated, a healthy appetite. And when I say a healthy appetite, we're not talking about what you put on your plate. It's that appetite of thoughts. We have 94,000 thoughts a day. And most of the time, what the problem is the old stale ones that just keep going over and over and over again. If you look here at the bottom left side of the screen, you can see 2 pictures that depict the brain before and after just 10 minutes of meditation. Now, that red area, you can bet your life that is not healthy. Okay, you can see that's showing, you could say like that's heat from the neurons of the brain where there's pressure buildup. There's anxiety, there's confusion, there's clotting of thoughts and neurons there where, you know, you're struggling to figure out what's going on. And a little bit of activity in the area of meditation brings your mind to a much cooler, calming, resonating place. And how you are in your mind is going to affect the entirety of your being. Like it says here, a person who is physically weak but has a sharp mind is stronger than a person who is physically strong and mentally weak. Remember that. A person who is physically weak but has a sharp mind is stronger than a physically strong and mentally weak person. So the things that we are talking about here is things that are going to bring your mental capacity up to a higher vibratory place, and is going to attract the best out of you, and what's going to bring strength to your decisions. That's going to bring strength to your being. Okay. The next word, accountability. Accountability, you can see it's written all over the screen. Values, morals, liability, trustworthiness, honesty, core values, ownership, pride, virtuous actions, trust, integrity, function, responsibility, commitment. There's so many attributes to the word accountability, where you are accountable for your actions, you're accountable for the things you say, you're accountable for the things you do. You're not trying to pass the buck, you're not trying to sweep it under the carpet, you're not playing the game of avoidance, you're not trying to run until something catch up with you now and say, why? And you're making a bag of excuses to put it off. Accountability means you're accountable for what word, sound, power, what you say, what you do, for your actions, and for what you think. Yeah, you're accountable for your thoughts, you're accountable for your words, you're accountable for your actions. Very important, because once you get to that place, it's almost like you're now approaching that sweet spot of being. Here you go. Here's the triangle that represents how accountability fits in. Accountability is the glue that bonds commitments to results. First is the identity. Then it steps up to the authenticity. A lot of people are still struggling with who they are, what they are, why they want to be what they are. And then the next level up is how authentic are you to who you say you are, and how much are you in alignment with who you say you are? And then you reach that place of accountability. It's only then you can be accountable. So if there's no sense of alignment, if there's no sense of authenticity, if no sense of true identity, then it's impossible to be accountable. You're lying to yourself. You're walking in a space of denial. Okay, attractive. Remember we come across the word attractive? Now, attractive personality, if we want to look at it in detail. Beauty attracts the eye, but personality captures the heart. Don't wait for people to be friendly. Show them how. Okay? So in that personality that you carry in, because remember, you're unique, mixed with having a positive attitude, you create charisma, you create there's characteristics and personality, and these are judged by your attitude. When you have these balances right, no matter how you look on the outside, it's your personality that gets to the heart. And the heart can always sense truth. The heart doesn't need eyes. The eyes are there to feed the mind. The eyes are there to help the senses get involved with whatever it is they're getting involved with. The eyes are more attuned to the egotistical side of it. What you really want to develop is something that's not even the eyes can pick up. It's heart to heart. When you say namaste, you're saying namaste to the heart, to the soul, to the being. Okay, you're representing your being. You're not representing your physical nature. You're not representing the dress that you're putting on. You're not representing the makeup, but you're representing the qualities that you are. Here are 27 factors of a pleasing personality. Again, right at the top, a positive mental attitude, a flexibility of the mind, sincerity of purpose, promptness of decision, common courtesy. You know how much people forget that one there, that simple thing there, common courtesy, tactfulness, pleasing tone of voice, facial expression, and a habit of smiling. Frowning frowning, it takes more muscles to frown. It takes less muscles to actually smile. And in putting on a genuine smile, you send out such a vibration to the world. The people can sense it, okay? Tolerance, frankness in manner of speech. Don't beat around the bush. Like there is actually a saying again in the top end of Vedic knowledge, in Vedic knowledge, there's no room for diplomacy, only room for truth. And that falls under the frankness of manner of speech. A keen sense of humor. I remember back in the days when I first done NLP with a great teacher, George Phillips. He taught me that you have to have the ability to laugh at yourself. You have to have the ability to laugh with others at yourself. And once you're there, you know, you can laugh at anything in the world. Don't take life too serious. It's only just a play. So in that sense, have a keen sense of humor. And in that keen sense of humor, it doesn't mean putting others down. Okay. Faith in infinite intelligence. This is another aspect of a pleasing personality. A keen sense of justice, appropriateness of words, effective speech, control of the emotions, alertness of interest, versatility, fondness for people. Now, I know some people, they're more fonder than their pets than of people. They're more fond with them dog or them cat with people more than people. They're quicker to put down people and big up their pet. Now, I'm not saying that I've got nothing against animals. I love them dearly. But again, if you don't have this thing, because remember, you're a person yourself, and how you look on others, trust me, people are looking at you just the same. So if you don't have this attitude to have a fondness for people, you're not going to go nowhere in this world, because it's people that help people, and it's people that make people grow. You understand? So in that sense, be a light amongst people. Okay? Be the well-wisher of all. Control of temper. Hope and ambition. Temperance. Patience. The humility of the heart. Effective showmanship. That one there, you know how easy it is for people to get embarrassed, or people that don't like lose. You understand? Or they're vexed because this and vexed because that. Okay? Again, effective showmanship, clean sportsmanship, and personal magnetism. Personal magnetism is all about being on that path where you're influential more than you're manipulative. Okay, there's two paths. If you're on the path of positive mental attitude, you're growing into that path where you're influencing others. If you're on the path of a negative attitude, you fall into that path where you try and manipulate others. You fall into the realm of arrogance. You fall into the realm of bullying. You fall into the realm of aggressiveness and unnecessary aggressiveness. And all of these things break away from you not only having a pleasing personality, but it studs your growth. It takes away from your growth. So again, here are some real, just simple things that makes up a characteristic and a personality that grows and blossoms. Just like how you would get a plant, you put it in a plant and you water the plant and you see the thing grow. Without the water, the thing, it won't grow. It won't grow. You might find that weeds might start growing before the flowers start growing. You understand? Because there's things that are directly in the soil that no matter what you do, it will just trigger weeds. And you think, so where this weed come from? I'm sure me did plant a flower. It's true, say you never watered it. It didn't grow. So now we have to be really conscious of how we water our minds, how we water our thoughts, how we water our states of being, how we manage these things. You know, there's a practice to put into play that even that place when you start to feel bad, draw the brakes. If you need to get an elastic rubber band where you put around your arm, and anytime you feel a negativity, just snap like a little, remind yourself, come out of this state. And if you can't, Just stop, take a deep breath. And you think, what is the next best thought? What's the next best step? All right, where is that I can go from here that is positive? What is the next best thing that I can think that's going to elevate me out of this negative state of being? Stay right there and just think about it. And you think, okay, good, I've come up with something. Keep thinking of that same thought for 17 seconds. Just keep repeating it like a mantra. Just keep repeating it. And then once that sinks in, you're going to feel a little change within you. And you get, okay, what's next? What's the next best thought that I can have from here? Okay. Well, I don't, at least I can find love in my being for myself, for going through this experience. And, I can feel empathetic towards myself and know that this is just an experience and not the end of the day. This is just an experience. This is just an experience. And I still love myself. And I thank myself for going through this experience, and I can see clearer. I can see clearer. I can feel better, and you take it step by step by step. How do you climb up out of that pit hole of just negativity? You just stop. You take a deep breath and you find the next best thought, and the next best thought, and the next best thought. Attractiveness and magnetism of man's personality is the result of his inner radiance. And this is from the Ayurveda. So even Vedas, even the Bible, the Quran, every single one of them talk about attitude. And this, not only the attitude, but the other aspect of being attractive from a personality point of view, where that working of the inner self, you start to radiate a light, you start to radiate a glow about you, you start to radiate an attractiveness about you, which is no longer physical. It's inherent. You're tapping into a very deep thing that's deeper than the DNA. There's some intrinsic qualities about you that are waiting to show itself, but you have to be in alignment with it. Once you're in alignment with these intrinsic qualities, they take over, they start to shine, they start to glow. And once they start to glow, things outside of yourself, of your inner experience, your outer experiences start to line up. Your outer experiences, now you start to understand the metaphysical path, because you've started to hold the reins of the horses of the mental. You understand? You start to train the ego, you train the intelligence, you're starting to train how you're taking knowledge in and how you're referring to this knowledge to experiences in the outside world. And you're doing it in a way where it's benefiting you and others around you. You're not taking on knowledge to slander people. You're taking on knowledge to help you grow. And in your growth, you're going to make others grow. Adaptability. Adaptability is not imitation. It means power of resistance and true assimilation. Okay? Adaptability means you have tolerance. It means that you have, like if you're in a gym and you first start bench press 50 kg and it's hard. Ugh. You do that a few times, you can adapt. Yeah, I've got that easy. We can go up. We can push up harder. We can go to 60 kg now. Yeah, I can adapt to this. Yeah, I got this. We can assimilate a little bit more power, put on 10 more. We can do 70. You're adapting. Your tolerance level, your resistance level is getting stronger. Your power is getting stronger, okay? So adaptability is like a sign of growth. It's like you're ticking off that thing. Yeah, you can adapt to circumstances, situations, and you're not just cowering away and shying away and shrinking until you're now not used to yourself or anybody. And when you get to that space where you just shrunk to nothing, you're shrunk to you can't even represent yourself. You can't really represent the truth of who you are, truthfully, because you're caught up into a physical aspect of how you run yourself down, you can't adapt to anything. Anything taking your blow over, as simple as that. You understand? So building up true adaptability means that, again, just like they said, even, with the pandemic at play, with a 98%, what they call it, 98% recovery rate, like most people can recover, and most people build up a resistance to the disease. Again, adaptability. Again, so in this sense, in every aspect of life, walk of life, whether it's health, wealth, mental, and all other states, adaptability means your ability to strengthen the power of resistance and to assimilate your real inner truth. The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but building the new. Okay? Not on fighting the old. That is over. We are now building. We are creating building blocks on building a new you, a new surrounding, a new mental state, a new garden, a new purpose of life, a new place for joy. Don't let people pull you into their storm. Pull them into your peace. Okay? Come out of the rain and bring them into your sunshine. Okay? Don't and join up in and There's one thing that I learned again in NLP. Most people like to link up. They find strength in their negativity. For instance, you go and you tell somebody, yeah, man, I'm doing great. Things is wonderful. Blah, blah, blah. Most times they're going to be jealous of you. Most times they're going to want to do, how comes things are going so good for you? What? You're not sharing none of that. You're not this, you're not that. Or you just go answer. No, that's, again, a red eye thing, they dash that. Most people like, them link up. Yeah, man, and you never hear say blah, blah, blah. Actually, yeah, because, I said this take me, yeah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's true, because blah. Most people find happiness in their miseries more than their growth and expansion. We need to change that. You need to change that polarity of being. Don't let people pull you into their storm. Pull them into your peace. Pull them into your light. Influence them into your goodness, into your sattvic state. So, aims and objectives of becoming metaphysical. So we've covered the mental grounds. And again, where we last left off in understanding some metaphysics is understanding, this is the highest of metaphysics. And this is understanding what is Purusha, i.e. soul. What is Prakriti, i.e. material manifestation. And how do they meet in the middle, in that figure of that eternal loop that is going on? This is consciousness, and this is material existence. And how do they meet to reach a point that you can experience? You're experiencing what you're thinking about. You're experiencing what you're feeling. You're experiencing your state of being. And Prakriti is serving this to you on a plate. One of the greatest things that I've always found fascinating with this whole entire universe is no matter what you think of it, it will show you exactly that. So if you think it's a bad place to be, it will confirm it time and time and time and time again. If you think it's a good place to be, it will confirm it time and time and time and time again. If you believe that this is a place for you to grow into the fullness of your being, it will assist you time and time and time and time again. If you feel that this is a place for, you have to watch out for the snakes and you have to watch out for the leopards and you have to watch out for this, they will appear time and time and time and time again. You're actually feeding Prakriti. You're feeding the three gunas with the reflective nature of what it is you want to experience, and it will turn up on your doorstep. This is the difference between just understanding and becoming metaphysical, that you actually literally are now witnessing. You know that this experience is happening because of the way how you've been thinking and feeling. Bottom line. And if you don't get those two parameters right in terms of how you're thinking and feeling, it's just going to be a mess, because there's a biorhythmical deal that's made in the universe with every soul. A biorhythmical deal means that that biorhythmic aspect of what Prakriti is doing, the three gunas, what they're doing is aligning with what it is you think you are. You know, there's two, you know, the subjective and the objective. How do you, question number one, how do you think others see you? How do you think others perceive you? Question number two, how do you want to be perceived? There's two different states right there. And it's all about bringing that into alignment. When you have those into alignment, then now you're in that sweet spot. Once you can understand what it is that feeds the idea of how people see you, how the universe sees you, and how you want to be perceived. Once you get those alignments right, now you're playing that game of alchemy. Now you're playing that game of being the metaphysician. Okay? Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that studies the fine art principles of being, identity and change, space and time, causality, necessity and possibility. It includes questions about the nature of consciousness and the relationship between mind and matter. An esoteric perspective. According to Vedic teachings, consciousness exists as a universal spiritual energy, reality, a pure awareness that has intelligent awareness of its own existence. It manifests through vibration as electromagnetic energy to become the universe in its material form. Intelligent awareness then evolves perception and senses to experience its own self-creation. We as humans are the perceivers of the universe, a divine manifestation. Now, I hope Dr. Mark is with us. We was having a wonderful conversation earlier on. You know, it was all based on two aspects. You know, we're kind of lost in thinking that we're having we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. We're robbed under that headlining. That is not what it is all about. We are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience right through and through. And I want Dr. Mark to come in shortly and expand on that. I've got a few more slides, and let's just go through this. As this universal consciousness begins to vibrate, it becomes a cosmic energy substance called Prakriti. In modern technology, this finite energy field is what I refer to as the electromagnetic ocean. In more recent times, it is referred to as the quantum field. It contains within it every aspect of the energy world, from the smallest quantum to the largest galaxy. What is the difference between metaphysics and religion? Philosophy of religion explores and evaluates religious views out of reality and seeks to understand religious practice. Metaphysics chiefly addresses questions about what is ultimately real and important. If the question, can one easily understand Samkhya, is asked, the answer is, even a child can, but an adult would have to give up his preconceived notions first. And again, if you remember this picture, this is the last picture that we ended up on the last course, and we're going to be reintroducing and tapping into this whole understanding of what is Purusha, what is the qualities of Purusha, and what is Prakriti, what are the qualities of Prakriti, where do they meet in the middle to bring about the experience that you desire. Now, you may think that you desire good, but you're putting out so much bad information that the only thing that what you're really desiring in your biorhythmic calculations of all that you are is that you're going to only experience tamasic results, results of illness, results of bitterness, results of a lower state of being. If we want to vibrate on a higher level, on that sattvic level that raises above the three gunas, now you come to a transcending space. Now you can sense Purusha. Now you can sense your real essence of who you are. And this is how we're going to be tapping into over the coming weeks. We're going to be going deeper and deeper and deeper into the understanding of the Purusha, Paramatma, and Atmic self. Right. Let's just wrap this up. Feeling is energy. That is all it is. That is all everything is. Energy. So again, mind the energy that you put out, because the energy that you put out confirms the energy that you're going to get back. Never, ever forget, even for one moment, how truly amazing you are. And that's something that I really, really sincerely want you to all know, that you are all amazing light beings. You are all light of love. And the more, the fact that you even signed up to this course confirms that you are putting yourself in a place of growth. You are putting yourself, you're willing to commit to an expansion. So no longer do we want to listen to the noise pollution. We want to engage ourselves in inner beauty. So never forget how amazing you are truly at the source of who you are.